looking at everything that's happening in the world, you watch the news and everything, do you feel like the world is a safe place to be?
That's a really great question. I think it depends who you ask. And if you're asking me, I do think it's a safe place. I've been to Israel 39 times. I've been there when there's turmoil, there's wars and rumors of war. And I'm shocked actually by how safe it is. And we're surprised sometimes at all the stuff going on in the world. But Jesus said, there will be wars and rumors of wars. But you know what? Yeah, I do feel the world is a safe place. You have to be careful. Use your brains where you go and when you go. But generally, yeah, I think it is.
And of course, it depends on where you live and where you are at this moment.
Yeah.
But I read this great article in Christianity Today magazine by Carolyn Aarons. She's a singer and a writer. And she wrote she was reading this book called The Divine Conspiracy by Dallas Willard. And he said, Jesus brings us the assurance that the universe is a perfectly safe place to be. And she was kind of like, I don't know if I feel that way. You look at social media and just one look at her social media, it's like someone has cancer and then there was this bombing and, just all what we see in the world, is it safe? And she referenced that verse. If you have a Bible, look up Jeremiah 29:11. It's a fascinating verse, and it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So, sometimes when life is, you see stuff happening around us, or even in your own life, you feel like you have good things for me. Like, how is this going to work out for good? And we talk about that every day on this program.
Yeah, all the time. And we need to understand God's perspective when it comes to the universe, when it comes to the world. I mean, if this desk represents all of time, space-time, from beginning to the end, and if we believe God is outside space-time, so you and I, we're here in the history of the world, and so we kind of have to wait to get to the end. But if God truly lives outside of space and time, he sees the beginning and he sees the end.
Right.
So he knows where Cheryl Weber is going. He knows where Joy Amaral is going. And so he makes these little, I call them like course corrections along the way, that little nudge of the Holy Spirit that he gives us, move this way, move that way. And he keeps us on the path. So even though, bad things do happen in the world, I do feel safe because I know that God is with me. Like the verse says, I know he has plans to bless me and to prosper me and not to harm me. And that's a very assuring thing.
My favorite quote in this whole article, she said, if we do believe he's working everything together, it changes the nature of the threats we encounter. So we still encounter them. The possibility of physical harm or even death no longer means the end of the story. Some of our most debilitating anxieties are the fears that we're alone, that our suffering has no meaning and it's pointless, that our future is hopeless. Those are fears the Bible tells us we need not have, but we'll only be free of that if we actively immerse ourselves in the way God sees the world, what you're talking about, not CNN. And I was like, it's what we spend time thinking about and consuming that makes us afraid. If we're reading the Bible, there's so many great verses that tell us about God's love, about his care for us, about his safety. I love that.
Yeah, well, if I know that he's leading me, then there's hope in that.